Spiders Will Eat Your Face. Available on Amazon Prime Instant Watch and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face. The brilliant documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That's Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie, now on Amazon.
Success. Media. Network. 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 Network.
This is your show.
Good day, Successors. I'm Antonio Holman, and welcome to the 4 Principles of Success, number 30, where I chat with successful people and entrepreneurs about how they enhance their businesses and lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, we're talking to Thom King. Thom is located in Portland, Oregon, and is part CEO, part personal development wonk, part biohacker, info geek, and is a self-confessed serial entrepreneur. While his favorite book list contains many success-oriented personal development classics, with the classic definition of achieving success being making lots of money, this is not what inspires or motivates Thom. He follows more of a you aren't doing well unless you're also doing some good line of thinking. Thom's company has been built around the simple principle of do the right thing. In 1999, Thom's personal passion for food and his concern over the explosion of metabolic disease led him to found Steviva Brands with a mission to help food manufacturers replace unhealthy sugars in their products with natural options. With 20 years of R&D work, Thom has helped hundreds of manufacturers improve the quality of their products. In recent years, his passion for food and optimal health have intersected with his embrace of the ketogenic diet. Thom, are you ready to help our listeners prepare for success?
Let's do this.
Okay. All right, Thom. So, aside from your business endeavors, tell us a little bit more about your personal life.
Well, I usually, I'm in the hustle and grind almost 24/7, but, I don't think that a person can be completely grounded unless they do some activities outside of work. So I'm an avid runner. I work out every day. I also meditate and do yoga on a daily basis. I'm an avid paddleboarder. I fly fish. I like hiking and camping. I have a dog named Dignan, and that's pretty much my life in a nutshell.
All right. For those who may not know, tell us more about your company, Steviva Brands, and what was your inspiration initially to create it, and tell us about that moment.
That's a great question. It must have been 1988, and I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, and I ran into a gentleman whose name is Jim May, who recently passed away. He was hiking. He was hiking in Paraguay, collecting herbs, medicinal herbs for his son who suffered from a condition. And he showed me this paste that was made from a bunch of ground up leaves, and he said, "Try this. It's stevia." So I tried it, and I was like blown away by how sweet it was. It was about 25 times sweeter than sugar in its natural state. And when I had that, and it had no calories, it had no carbs, and I thought, if there was a way to extract those sweet constituents out of those leaves, this could replace sugar, and it could be a natural replacement rather than the chemical replacements that a lot of people use now.
Did he tell you how he stumbled upon that in the first place?
He didn't really go into details. I know that he was with the Guarani Indians, and he had collected mate, and he had collected like a variety of different herbs that they used, for both medicinal and just nutritional. And this just happened to be one of them. And this is the one that really stood out for me. And Jim actually started a company called Wisdom Naturals, and I would have to say they're one of the largest stevia companies that target retail. Like their retail sales are pretty substantial, while our retail sales are good, but we primarily focus on ingredients.
Okay, so now you initially started with a stevia type of product, but your company has evolved into more than that. Like, what other brands or what other products has your company evolved into?
We actually evolved into more sweetening systems because what we found is food manufacturers needed to have a simple drop-in or plug-in solution for replacing sucrose or replacing sugar or high fructose corn syrup. So we went on to develop actual system, a sweetening system that contains a variety of different natural compounds that replace the functionality, mouthfeel, and flavor of sugar, and then contribute no added sugars.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. Okay, I think that's one of the biggest things about Americans these days is it seems to be a huge addiction to sugar, and when you can get Americans away from that, I think that's heading in the right direction of solving a lot of these chronic health problems people are suffering from. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I've read a lot of articles. I mean, I'm an avid reader, so I've read, several articles about the effects of sugar. And I mean, I know how sugar affects me. But, in one article that I read in the New York Times, it had quoted some research that was done on rats that had found that sugar was more addictive than cocaine.
Yeah. Wow. That is so crazy. In what ways do you feel creation of Steviva Brands has enhanced your life?
It's enhanced my life, a great deal. I mean, to be able to actually contribute to a cause larger than the company and larger than myself, and that's the eradication of metabolic disease, which includes diabetes and obesity. And the combination of the two, which I call diabesity. I mean, that's huge when I get, emails and letters from people that have used our products, thanking us and telling us that, they've lost 50, 100 pounds and then they're off of their diabetes medicine and their blood pressure is under control. So that's super satisfying for me. And then also having employees that basically drink the Kool-Aid and are all in on the cause themselves. I mean, every person at my company is, when they come to the company, they get excited about it. But after they're there for a while and they understand, what it is we're doing, they adopt the lifestyle and it becomes amazing. And when you see people at your own company grow and thrive, that's a beautiful impact to have on the world.
Now, this might coincide with the previous question, but what is the thing that you absolutely just love about Steviva Brands?
The thing that I love about Steviva Brands is our corporate culture. I mean, I love the fact that we're helping a lot of consumers, but our corporate culture is I think unique. I came from a Fortune 100 corporate background, and I know what that kind of grind can be. And I mean, in that situation, it's a job, and people get up in the morning and they say, I've got to go to work. And I think that collectively we've created a corporate culture where people can wake up in the morning and actually say, I get to go to work, because we have corporate gardens that we actually harvest our lunch from. We have corporate chickens, chicken coop, and, we harvest the eggs out of that. And, we have a rock climbing wall, a yoga studio, boxing gym. So it's a place where people can go and thrive and grow and, feel a sense of aliveness. And to me, that's hugely rewarding.
And that's all on site.
That's all on site. And we're actually moving to a new facility, which is 3 times the size of our facility that we have now. And we're going to increase the amount of sort of leisure activities and leisure spaces within the new building, just to bring our corporate culture up another notch. So it's fun. Yeah.
It sounded like a little bit of a health nuts dream job.
Well, I haven't had anybody tell me that their job sucks. So
right.
Like everybody seems to be pretty happy. Everybody seems to be thriving, and, I think that when you have employees that are fiercely loyal and love where they work, that they're far more productive, because they're coming from a place of aliveness. So it's not a burden to them, and they get into a flow state and they can become, super productive at that point. So I think making an investment in your employees and your workplace that fosters that type of environment, I think that you get a huge return on that investment.
Yeah, I really believe that. Yeah, I've always felt that working for an employer, and it just from my personal experience, it never really got to that state. But I think that the workplace, at least in America, well, probably the world, it's actually evolving more so into that, because what do you say is a happy employee is a loyal employee, and that's important.
Absolutely. And I also think that it mitigates turnover, and turnover is so expensive, because if you have somebody that you've spent the time training and you have them, familiar with your systems, and they're unhappy and they decide to leave, and you have to hire somebody else, you have to retrain them, that can really, that can get a company stuck in the mud, and it's expensive. I think it's far more expensive than investing in your employees, like paying them a little more than the average, and giving them more benefits as well.
Mentioned in your bio was your move to embracing the principles of the ketogenic diet. For those who may not know what it is, can you explain what the ketogenic diet is and what attracted you to utilizing it in your life?
Well, that's a great question. I was inspired. So my company, when I started this company, we were focused on being part of the solution for eradicating metabolic disease. So, and part of that is having people shift from a sugar and carbohydrate-based diet over to a ketogenic diet. And I was really inspired by Dom D'Agostino, and actually one of my clients, Ron Penna, who owns Quest Nutrition. I was deeply inspired by him, and he made a remark one day that I said, "Hey, let's go out to eat." And he said he didn't eat. And so that stuck with me for the longest time. And I'm like, what does he mean he doesn't eat? And so I really started drilling down into some of the principles that he follows of keto, the ketogenic diet, and listening to Dom D'Agostino, who's sort of I'd say the leader in sort of the keto field. And I really found through research that your body actually functions more efficiently on fat than it does sugar or carbohydrates. So the ketogenic diet is 70% fat, 20% protein, and 10% low glycemic carbohydrates like cruciferous vegetables, lettuces, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, vegetables like that are super rich in minerals. So that's the principles of it. And I actually have a book coming out in late September. It's all about adopting a ketogenic lifestyle.
We'll have to have you back on for your book launch.
I would love that.
Awesome.
It'd be terrific.
Now, you've been an entrepreneur for a while now, so most likely you have some insights my listeners could use to their advantage. What are some valuable keys and thought processes to being a successful entrepreneur, in turn making a big positive impact on the world?
I would say the biggest question that needs to be answered if you're an entrepreneur is your why. What is your why? And if that's something you're struggling with, I would suggest that that you listen or read some of Simon Sinek's books. One of them in particular is Start with Why. So if you can understand your why behind your business, I'd say that is a huge step, because then you know why you're doing it, and then mapping out how you're going to do it, and then embracing the hustle and embracing the grind. And when and the grind is something you must embrace. Like if you think you had a hard, long day after 8 hours, that's part-time. So that's when you start kicking in the grind. So you grind some more. And once you think you've ground out every bit that you've got, that means you have to grind just a little more. That's the philosophy.
Yeah, and once you find your why, once you actually find that deep down reason for why you're doing what it is you're doing, the funny thing is, the psychology of it all is that whenever someone may talk to you about quitting, or why are you wasting your time, or you think I'm tired, but then that deep down passionate reason of why you're doing it, it kicks in and it keeps you from not stopping. And that's incredibly powerful, that a lot of people still need to realize.
Absolutely. If you don't have your why, you don't have anything. And, being an entrepreneur is all about never quitting. That's not to say that, as an entrepreneur, and I'm actually a 4th generation entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, I have actually failed more times than I've succeeded. When I succeed, it's huge. When I fail, I recognize it as a failure and I move on to something else. So also being an entrepreneur, I mean, you need to embrace failure. And while fighting the war, you may not be failing, but each battle you win some and you lose some. And, the philosophy is never, ever, ever give up. Mm-hmm. Never quit.
And that's what I always say. You can take something positive away from every situation, no matter what happens, because you're learning no matter what.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing is I embrace and I love pain and suffering, because I don't look at pain and suffering through a fixed mindset. I look at pain and suffering through a growth mindset. Mm-hmm. And that mindset is, on the other side of this pain, on the other side of this growth is going to be a lesson that is going to take me to the next level. So that's a big one for me.
Going up against the food industry's quid pro quo is a gigantic feat, that is exactly what you're doing. What keeps you and your team so motivated towards industry change?
Cause. Our cause to reduce sugar intake in sugar usage, with our manufacturers, is like, that's completely what drives us. This is a cause for us, and it drives us to continually push ahead.
Have you had any, bigger manufacturers try to, for lack of a better word, muscle you in any type of way? Because you're going against the establishment.
Yes.
Oh,
We've had that happen. We have had that happen. I've had that happen throughout the existence of this business, because I started importing stevia into the country in 1999 before the FDA allowed stevia as a sweetener. It was only allowed as a dietary supplement.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
It was tough, because we were bringing products. We were bringing stevia into the country, and the FDA immediately shut us down and confiscated our product. And it took me 3 months to get it out of the FDA sequester. So that was a big lesson for us. But at that point, I could have quit, but I figured that kind of resistance was an indicator that I was on the right path. Mm-hmm. And then, some of the biggest names that I'm sure that you'd recognize in the food industry, as far as like ingredients go, like multi-billion-dollar companies. Absolutely. We've had people try to copy our formulas. We've had, manufacturers try to block us from getting our raw ingredients. So it happens. hopefully it'll happen a lot less. So
yeah, capitalism is a heck of a cutthroat.
It can be. And I mean, some people abuse it. Like, I mean, I'm obviously a huge believer in capitalism. I lean towards more compassionate capitalism. So, I mean, our philosophy is purpose over profit. Mm-hmm. So, that we're a profitable company, but, what's more important is our purpose. So we're not like the Cargills or the Monsantos of the world.
Yeah. In general, how do you plan for Steviva Brands to have exponential growth in the years to come?
Well, we've had a lot of good fortune with the FDA changing their label guidelines on how manufacturers need to report added sugars. So the new guidelines were supposed to come out next year, but I think that they pushed them to 2019. And all food manufacturers are going to have to relabel. They're going to have to relabel their nutritional statement on all of their products, reflecting how many added sugars there are in their final product. And what this will be used by municipalities, cities and states to levy sugar taxes. So we've seen sugar taxes in Berkeley, sugar tax in Seattle, there's a sugar tax in New York City. And so now these cities are going to use that call out on the label on the nutritional label that specifies added sugars, and that will be used to tax the companies. So a lot of these major food manufacturers are now scrambling to get the added sugar out. So we will continue to see exponential growth as much as the FDA pushes for, clean label sugar reduction, as much as consumers are saying, hey, no more sugar for us. So as long as that happens, we'll continue to see exponential growth.
Yeah. And there was one aspect of that you touched on, as far as nutrition and state laws and things like that. I have a friend who recently had a heart scare and things like that. It was a blood pressure issue. So he's really awakened me to watching sodium content. And of course, they say high blood pressure is the secret killer and things. And, you have heart attacks and stroke. And one thing you mentioned about state laws and regulations, I feel that it's coming to the point to where a lot of places, like restaurant establishments, may need to actually be regulated as far as sodium content. Now, I actually saw a menu item. I'm not going to name the restaurant. And this item had 7,200 milligrams of sodium.
Oh, my God.
That's triple the amount of your daily allowance. So the thing you touched on as sugar and regulation, that really falls hand in hand with that. And man, a lot of people, a lot of citizens actually say, well, I can take care of myself. I don't need the government poking their nose into my health. But there's a lot of uninformed people out there. And when manufacturers can actually create food and nutrition that is actually harmful, something I think probably needs to be done.
Well, I completely agree with you. And I think that the use of sugar and salt is kind of a cheat to make food more flavorful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because, I mean, it's such an easy thing. You add sugar, you add salt, those your taste buds respond to that, mm-hmm. More than just about anything. And, whatever is in between that salt and sugar becomes sort of inconsequential. But what I'm seeing, and a lot of the trade shows are like featuring umami, which is supposed to be a new sort of a flavor profile, like similar to soy sauce or similar. It's a savory flavor, okay. But this is being leveraged quite a bit for pretty deep cuts in salt. So that's one I would keep an eye on.
It's like a salt replacement?
Yeah, it's actually considered a flavor. So like you would pick up umami in soy sauce, you would pick up umami, like umami is going to be the the sort of the flavor in like even a fish sauce. Mm-hmm. So a variety of like Mediterranean and Asian style foods use umami as a flavor. And what they found is using umami, an umami flavor instead of salt, really will increase or decrease your sodium content pretty dramatically.
Wow. I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of them are yeast-based, so they're using yeasts to create umami, and also a variety of different vegetable compounds.
As we all know, life's a big, giant roller coaster of ups and downs, and nothing ever stays the same or remains positive and good. Throughout your journey, what do you feel was the time you felt most personally unsuccessful and unsure about your life?
Well, that's also a very good question. I would have to say that the bottom of the trough would be going through a divorce, packing up all of my belongings that fit into a 38-foot trailer. Steviva was not doing well at the time, and I moved up to Portland, Oregon, and that was the bottom. I didn't have any money to fund the business, so I was constantly trying to scrape together, funds. No bank would give me money, and finally it got down to the point to where I was going to lose my house, and I had to go to my dad and ask for a loan from my dad to keep a roof over my head. And that was a humiliating time for me. And, fortunately, my dad loaned me the money. And a couple years after that, the business really started to take hold. And I was able to pay him back with interest. And, and it was sunny days ahead.
Sunny days are always welcome in my book, man. I tell you. Oh,
mine
man.
Too.
Yeah. What do you feel was the one hardest thing for you to overcome in your business that you've since conquered?
Great question. I would say that the greatest issue or greatest problem or challenge, to overcome is limiting self-belief. And I oftentimes feel like, okay, so, I can do anything, I'm invincible. And then I have something happen that kind of is a quick slap in the face. Like, yeah, you need to level up your thinking. And it was just recently, a couple weeks ago, when Jeff Bezos bought Whole Foods,
which was a total shock to me. Wow.
It was a shock to me, but what it created was so much shame because, I watched this industry really well, and I didn't see that coming.
I don't think anybody did.
But it was the most brilliant move ever, and yeah. I was like, oh my God. And then the stock price goes up by 30%.
Wow.
So basically he ended up getting Whole Foods for free, and now he has all these distribution points. And that was such a brilliant move. Mm-hmm. And I never saw it because my thinking, my limited self-belief, I thought he might make a play for Thrive Market or Sprouts or something a little smaller. But when that happened, it was a major wake-up call to me that I really need to level up, my thought process. Like, what's achievable for me? Because those self-limiting beliefs, whether you think you have them conquered or not, you'll get the occasional punch in the gut. Like, no, you need to level that up. So that was one for me for sure.
Yeah, that's a powerful one too.
Mm-hmm.
What was your most challenging client or client situation, and how'd you resolve it?
There's so many. By and large, my client base is super easy to work with. I mean, the manufacturers are super easy to work with. I would have to say that on the consumer level, it's a little more challenging. You get consumers that don't really understand how to use the product, and they'll sometimes buy our pure stevia extract, which is 200 to 300 times sweeter than sugar. And then, a quarter of a gram is enough to sweeten a full gallon of Kool-Aid.
Wow.
So it's super concentrated. And part of the challenge is when somebody gets so angry after they put like a whole tablespoon or teaspoon in a cup of coffee and they can't drink it because it's too sweet, and trying to explain to them how to, that this is a highly concentrated, high intensity sweetener. You only need to use a tiny bit. So it's that education process when somebody's furious at you because you ruined their coffee.
Yeah. Man, what one thing in your business are you currently struggling to overcome?
I would say currently we're struggling to overcome staffing situations. Like, our company is growing so fast that finding good people to come and work for us or with us has been a challenge. I think that the economy is doing pretty well. There's people are working, and it's harder to find good people that actually will, suit up and actually put in a good effort. So I would say right now our biggest challenge is finding and keeping good people.
What do you feel is your one biggest business triumph to date?
My biggest business triumph to date. I would say that my biggest business triumph was the first time we cracked over $10 million in sales for a year. That was triumphant.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. I like that.
Thanks.
What do you feel is your one biggest personal triumph to date?
My biggest personal triumph to date is losing 35 pounds in an 8-month period.
Wow.
Like I said before about the ketogenic diet, I've had this company for 18 years, 19 years, and we manufacture sweeteners specifically for, people that follow low carb or ketogenic diet and that have diabetes. So I really got pretty lazy, and I wasn't walking my talk. Mm-hmm. And I was eating pizza, drinking wine, drinking beer, and just eating junk food, and I got fat. I weighed 235 pounds, and I'm 6'2", so I carried it fairly well, but my blood pressure was like 160 over 99. It was very, very high, and I was just carrying a lot of weight. And so I really had to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself, look, you're better than this. And so I used a method that I learned from Tony Robbins. And if you want to break a really bad habit, you associate so much pain with that habit that it actually outweighs the pleasure that you're getting from the habit you're trying to break. So I associated so much pain with eating a pizza and having 3 beers. I associated so much pain with that it offset the pleasure that I was actually getting from the pizza and beer. And that's when I fully immersed myself into adopting a ketogenic lifestyle. And that was in October. That was in October of last year. And I committed to it and tracked it. I did tons of data collection with my blood pressure, with my blood ketone levels, my blood sugar levels. I was testing everything and collecting data on everything to find which foods made sense for me. And yeah, the last time I weighed myself, I weighed 195 pounds.
Man, I love positive health stories like that. I love them. I never get sick of hearing them, man. They're always great.
Well, it was a triumph for me. And when I saw the scale at 195, I was like, oh man, you totally did it. And I mean, it felt so good. And now, I mean, physically, I just turned 57 years old, and physically I feel like I'm 30. Like, the ketogenic diet really helped me with, long-term memory, short-term memory, cognition, stamina. It just really helped me in so many ways. And the science behind it, it just makes sense. So yeah, that was triumphant for sure.
Hang tight, successors. We'll return to our conversation with Thom King, as well as quick success after a word from our sponsors. Spiders will eat your face. Available on Amazon Prime Instant Watch and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the brilliant documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That's Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie, now on Amazon. Are you a tense, tired, busy person who works day in and day out, who tends to lack the proper sleep and energy? Using modular supplements, health-related articles, recipes, life hacks, and more, Bellison can help. With quality as high as Bellison, you're buying from a company that cares about the environment and only uses premium vegan supplements. That's Bellison.com. Want to learn how to cook healthy, exercise, and meditate in just 30 minutes a day? Bellison.com. Want to feel healthy, energetic, and focused like me? Bellison.com. To receive a 10% discount at checkout, visit Bellison.com with the coupon code THE4POS. Visit Bellison.com now. That's BELISAN.com. Compassion and quality without compromise. Bellison.com. And we're back with Steviva Brands founder and CEO, Thom King. Now we get into the part of the show I like to call Quick Success, where you, Thom, can inspire the successors to enhance their lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Thom, what are you currently doing to enhance your knowledge?
Reading books. And when I say reading books, I mostly listen to books. So I would, because it takes a lot of time and discipline. And I find that I'm not disciplined enough to actually, relax, read a book. Like, I need to be doing something. So I download copious amounts of books off iTunes and other audiobook aggregates. So I listen to at least two books per week. A lot of them are based in business, and the majority, I'd say, are based on personal development.
What are you currently doing to enhance your health?
I go to bed every night at 9. I get up every morning at 4:30. I journal for an hour, which helps me get my head into a clear space. Then I run for 3.5 miles. Wow. I bike. I then do a free weight workout and dumbbell workout, followed by cycling, yoga, and then a minimum of a 10-minute meditation.
And that's every morning you're doing this?
Religiously.
That's incredible. That's great.
It's tough when I'm on the road, but always worth it.
Yeah, I bet. What are you currently doing to enhance your wealth?
Investing in commercial real estate. Every time we move or expand, I always try to end up owning the property that we're expanding into. So, I mean, if you have a business, it's always worth it to buy the real estate that it sets on, and have that real estate when you purchase it, have it in a separate holding account, or a separate LLC, because that enhances your own personal wealth, and that way you can keep it separated from your actual business.
Wow, look at that. Little real estate nuggets, man. That's the area I'm walking my way towards as well. Nice. Mm-hmm. Really good move. And commercial property, once you understand it, and it's not too hard to understand, that's where you're going to get your biggest returns. And you're leasing to businesses instead of consumers, and the leases are generally 5 years. So you have long-term lease, so it doesn't take a lot to manage it. What are you currently doing to enhance your spirituality? Meditation. I
firmly believe that meditating for a minimum of 10 minutes, preferably 40, will dramatically change. It will dramatically change your life. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you in touch with what's, and what's going on in your head and your heart. And I also think integrating like deep breathing exercises will also sort of open up pathways for you where you can get in better touch with your spirituality.
When it comes to success, what do you feel is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
Probably from my dad. My dad was he was a fighter. I mean, he was a grinder. And the best piece of advice I think I got from my father and my grandfather is to never, 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 never quit.
That's powerful. So simple and extremely powerful when it comes to life, and you actually are old enough to understand it and utilize it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are there any modern technologies or apps that help you achieve success?
I think so. I mean, in my business, I would say Salesforce. It's a CRM system, so it helps us track customers, their sales. I can identify trends. If you're producing a product or if you're doing any kind of sales at all at any kind of volume, Salesforce has been a very, very excellent tool for us.
What new book, activity, technology, or skill are you really excited to learn and dive into?
Well, I've been trying to learn French for the past 4 years. And
4 years?
It is 4 years. And so when I first started learning French, the woman who was, the teacher, I had a couple questions and she's like, that's an exception. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And she said, the rules for French are thin. The rule book for the exceptions is quite thick. And so it's been a challenge. My French is not quite conversational, but I also think learning new languages and learning new computer languages too, to be able to code. I mean, all of those, I think, keep your brain super sharp. Mm-hmm. So you constantly challenge yourself and constantly do things that make your brain stretch.
As far as helping our listeners achieve success in whatever it is they're doing, what piece of advice can you give them?
Listen to podcasts. Have them listen to your podcast, Antonio, and have them listen to business related podcasts. Have them listen to, what other entrepreneurs are doing. I think this podcast that you're doing is a tremendous, tremendous service. Because as an entrepreneur, it's a lonely world out there, and I think networking, I think filling your mind with what other people are doing through podcasts, through networking, through meetup groups. I think that will help you keep your edge for sure.
All right. And successors, Thom has a special exclusive offer for you. Thom, what is that?
So if you go to our website at www.steviva.com, we'll give your listeners a 25% off if they use the coupon code the4POS. So THE, the number 4 POS. S is in Sierra. So you'll get a 25% discount off anything in our online store, and we've got a lot of really excellent sweetening systems on there that people can use if they want to cut the sugar out of their diet. It's a good coupon. It's the best coupon we've given out thus far.
All right, successors, you heard that. Visit Steviva.com for 25% off with the coupon code the4POS. Thom, how can our listeners connect with you?
They can send me an email. So I'm pretty open about giving out my email address, and that's Thom, THOM, .king, KING, at Steviva, STEVIVA.com. They can email me. They can find me. They can find me on Twitter at Thom King, THOMKING. They can also find me on LinkedIn if they want to link in with me, and that's also at Thom King, THOMKING. Facebook, any of those, all under THOMKING.
All right, Thom. Finally, what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is being madly in love with what you do and understanding your why and being able to empower other individuals to achieve what you've achieved.
There you have it, successors. I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Thom King. Please check out more successful free content like this at the4pos.com, as well as rate and review wherever you find podcasts. Thanks for listening and prepare for success. Thanks, Thom.
You're welcome.
If you want to be more driven and more motivated in your life or business, go to the4pos.com/free book and grab a copy of my book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within. 25 motivations of personal development and life success. Get it now at the4pos.com/free book. Again, that's the4pos.com/free book. Spiders will eat your face. Available on Amazon Prime Instant Watch and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the brilliant documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That's Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie, now on Amazon.